All right, we got to look at a third of the regular season Jimmy Butler last year. Playoff Jimmy looked good until he, hurt the hip. How about full regular season Jimmy? Because they're going to need him if this Jonathan Kuminga situation does not get cleared up. What should we expect from regular season Jimmy? That's on today's Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everyone? Welcome into Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. My name is Charlie Walter. Covered the team for 95.7 The Game. That's the flagship radio station of the Dubs. Also on TV for CBS News in downtown San Francisco. The show comes at you on YouTube, audio podcast. Check us out Monday through Friday. A variety and assortment of different guests, although today I'm just riding stag to break things down. Enough of the Kaminga talk until we get some new updates. We gave you plenty to stew on yesterday, plenty to hop in the chat and leave your thoughts on. Today we're talking all about Jimmy Butler, the scoring help. When Butler just inevitably misses some games, the most improved player for the Golden State Warriors. I want to hear your comments on who that will be this upcoming season. Then I want to talk some Will Richard. I really like him. I think he's going to play from, if not day one, month two. I think he's going to play pretty early for this team. He looks like a nice pickup for sure. Anyways, Mark Spears recently saw Gary Payton II, and he asked GP2, hey, how's Warriors free agency looking? You going to be a Golden State Warrior? Payton's response, waiting on JK. We're all waiting on Jonathan Kuminga at this point. And does it get to the point where the Golden State Warriors would tell Kaminga, like, all right, if you're going to take the qualifying offer, do it now so we could speed up our offseason. If not, we're taking away $500,000 every day off that $22.5 million deal that you had if you want to play that game. And then that forces him to kind of take the qualifying offer. And if he wants to wait, he wants to wait. I don't know. It's a lose-lose situation for both sides. We talked all about it. Pretty brutal. It's just a brutal conversation in general. And the worst part about it for Golden State is that Kaminga can score. We're not denying that. The dude could put the ball in the basket. He helps you. Sure, he helps you. No doubt. And I think the hope was that Kaminga was going to play ball with the Warriors and that they could convince him on a $22.5, $23, $25 million deal, whatever it is. They could convince him on this deal. They could win some games with him early in the season, using his offense, showcasing his value. Steve Kerr has said that they would give him the run with Jimmy, with Draymond and Steph, and to all the people out there that say, we don't believe him anymore. I believe him, mainly because they need his value to be high. It does not hurt to have a good JK that you can trade for fair value, contract to contract, and receive someone that is making $23 million or someone like that at the deadline. Because if not, you lack scoring. The Warriors do lack scoring. Now, they won plenty of games last season when it mattered most without Kaminga. Kaminga was irrelevant in the Houston Rockets series. A 2 seed in Golden State defeated them. So can they be effective without JK? Sure. What, 23-8 with Jimmy Butler? I know JK was involved in some of those games, but I think it was 15-1. They started off when Butler was added to the fold and JK was injured. So they can win games. They were top 5 defensive efficiency, top 5 offensive efficiency. Here's the issue. Jimmy Butler's not going to play every game in the regular season. Not going to play every single game in the regular season. And if Jimmy goes down in these load management games and just games where he doesn't feel like putting up more than 6 shots in a contest, because that's just what he does for whatever reason, and you don't have Kaminga, let's say because he takes the qualifying offer and he's just not he doesn't want to be there. He wants his head's in Sacramento. And you're not going to play someone that doesn't want to be on your team, right? Maybe. I don't know. It seems messy. Can you amend things? We'll see. But there's little supplementary firepower on this team if Jimmy goes down. And Jimmy can put up 30 on a given night. We've seen him from time to time be able to get off 24 field goals and knock down 13 of them. He can get hot from three. He gets to the line 14 times in a given game sometimes. Like, Jimmy can score. That's your second scorer. The issue is Butler hasn't played more than 70 games since 2017 and hasn't played more than 65 since before the pandemic. And DeAnthony Melton's nice. Al Horford can hit a few threes, but Kaminga can definitely score. And I'd set the over-under on Jimmy Butler games at, I think 56.5 is like a fair number. So that's potentially 27 games if you're taking the over. That's 27 games you're without Jimmy. Who's scoring? We didn't have to witness it much last season. We didn't have to ask that question because he didn't miss many games. We got fresh Jimmy Butler entering the fold, and we got a Jimmy Butler who was determined to help the Warriors get out of the play-in altogether. And it went down to the last game of the regular season. They weren't able to get it done the final moments against the Clippers, but that was their mission. And Jimmy made sure to play a lot of the regular season like his pants were on fire. I mean, he was going harder than he typically does in the regular season and not taking many days off at all. One of the games that we saw him not take off, but have to head to the locker room after, being undercut by Amin Thompson, the Dubs didn't look good at all. And that was a game where Kaminga got in, and obviously the sea legs were under him. He wasn't fresh. He hadn't played in a minute. He was not nearly as good in that game as he was in the Minnesota Timberwolves series. But Butler was very available last season. And maybe it's one of those outliers where he plays 70 games this season. Father Time hasn't caught up to him at all. And last year was more about the whole issue with Miami and not wanting to play as compared to just being fresh. We know he takes care of his body. We know that he's a psycho about staying in shape and really sticking with his offseason regimen. And he'll be coming to camp ready to go. No doubt about it. And let's not forget, Butler was second team All-NBA in 2023. He wasn't even an All-Star in 2023 and was second team All-NBA, which is at this point just a couple of seasons ago. It's not that long ago. The fact that he was second team NBA, not an All-Star, kind of exemplifies what his game is. Not the flashiest player in the world. Not even picked to be on the All-Star team. Yet one of the 10 best players in the NBA. So my question to you, comments, you think he could be a dark horse for like third team All-NBA this season, flirting with an All-Star game? Or do you truly think he's over the other side of the hill and he's still a great player? He's not worth $60 million. He can pop off for 25 plus multiple times in a playoff series, but he's not third team All-NBA material. He's just too old for that time. Because he's had some injuries and then a weird season last year with Miami. But once he came to the Dubs, like, he was awesome. He was phenomenal. Now, there were games, like we said, where he wouldn't look at the basket. He would only take 6 shots, and then he'd follow it up with 18 shots. The very next game, he'd put up 25, 8, and 7. It is a curious case at times, but that's why you need better shooting around Jimmy Butler, because his game, it's not that he doesn't play hard. He's always playing hard. Just sometimes he's passive. But he's smart. And he's going to find the open man. And if Horford's on the team, you add another shooter to the mix. If D'Anthony Melton's healthy, he's consistently in the high 30s, knocking down threes. Seth Curry? Maybe. So we'll see. But that's my question. You think he could be a dark horse to really not even bounce back, because he was awesome last season, but a dark horse to really showcase that just because he's 35 years of age doesn't mean he can't play at the highest level. He's like, hey, last time you saw me fully healthy with the money that I wanted in a full season, I was second team All NBA. I still got that capability. We'll see. Finishing 5 for the Golden State Warriors. Who are going to be the 5 guys that they rely on in crunch time this upcoming season? I want to debate that coming up on Locked On Warriors.
And buddy, stop trying to dribble the ball.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Let me tell you a little bit about Monarch Money. If you ever felt managing your money could be easier, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Monarch is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Surprising insights you will notice. Subscriptions. Video streaming services. Do they add up to be more than expected? You've probably never even looked in the past. With Monarch Money, it'll give you a detailed description of what you're spending on certain things and how you can save money. If you're sharing finances with someone, Monarch will help you stay on the same page. Also, if you've looked at your spending and been surprised how fast it adds up, Monarch is the thing for you. And if you ever wish you had all your accounts and spending in one place, again, Monarch is the place for you. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Finishing 5 for the Golden State Warriors this upcoming season. Let's use the hypothesis that the team as constructed is going to add DeAnthony Melton at some point, Al Horford at some point, maybe another player, but those two certainly. How do you look at your finishing lineup? And I guess the bigger question that I would have for you is this finally the year where the Warriors kind of have a set pecking order where not all the time, because we know that Steve Kerr won't do it all the time, but the majority of the time you have a 5 that you can roll out there in crunch time situations that you feel pretty good about. And I know he's a big situational guy. He's going to play chess. He's going to go mad scientist. He's going to change things up. But are we at the time where we'll see a lineup like Curry, Melton, Butler, Draymond, and Horford? Assuming, Kaminga is not on the squad. Curry, Melton, Butler, Draymond, Horford. Or maybe Curry, Pods, Butler, Draymond, Horford. Or maybe Horford's just not a finishing player at this point, and they try to go Draymond at the 5. It's worked out well in the past, and they go Buddy in there for some shooting, or they go Moody in there for some on-the-ball point of attack defense. I don't know. But they do have some options here. And that is unfortunately what we said to enter last season. Like, the Warriors seem like they have a lot of good players, but I can't really pinpoint on how they're going to make all these different things work. Is Kyle Anderson going to be a 6th man? And by the end of his tenure, we found out that he was like a 12th man. He didn't even crack the 11-man rotation at one point. And Looney was out of the rotation for a minute. And then Looney's back. And Trace Jackson Davis starts the season as the 5, and Kaminga starts the season as the 3, and Wiggins is in there at the 2, and Draymond's the 4, and it got a little wacky last season. There wasn't really a rhyme or reason. It was all over the place, and then, all of a sudden I'm turning on the Minnesota series, and I'm like, wait, what's Trace doing in there? Why is Trace playing great? I forgot he was on the team. It was a little wacky last year. Is this finally the year where the rotations are going to shrink a little bit? We're going to have more defined roles? Or again, is it going to be more of the tinkering from a season ago? And Kerr's got a lot to tinker with. That's the thing. The fact that he's got Quentin Post and Trace Jackson Davis as of now, and if he adds in Horford too, I'm just a firm believer that he's gonna use advantages to his matchups, rather, to his advantage. He's going to be a situational coach. And he's not going to stick. That's why I think that the question, like, who is the Warriors finishing 5, is kind of irrelevant because I don't think they're going to have one. I think it's going to change from day to day. Just like last year, we saw Buddy Hield in some games. In fact, we saw him taking final shots in certain games. And then there were other contests where you didn't see him the entire second half because he was terrible. And that may just be the Warriors' calling card. It worked out pretty well last season in the second half and the playoffs until Curry got hurt. So maybe they run it back. I don't like playing that way personally. I liked how Minnesota did it, how New York did it, how OKC did it for the most part, where you know what you're going to get from certain guys on a given night. But hey, it keeps it lively, keeps the show fun, where on Saturday, Buddy Hield sucks. And then on Sunday, he's your thumbnail and he's the star of the show. And you're like, ink this guy to 3 more deals, 3 more years on his deal. Although he does, I think, have 3 more years with all the options that he has on his deal. So I don't know in regards to that. In regards to the player that's most likely to have a breakout season for the Golden State Warriors, I mean, I don't think it's going to be Draymond Green, obviously. It's not going to be Curry. I mean, even if he goes for MVP this season, I wouldn't call it any sort of a most improved or breakout or anything like that. He was damn good last year. Jimmy Butler, the same way. Unless he legit wins MVP, then we can call it most improved or breakout. But I think by process of elimination, we come down to a handful of players. Let's even though last we heard the Warriors' plan is to not include Kaminga in any sort of sign and trade, they've said, hey, JK, you're taking the 7.9 or you're taking the 22.5. Either way, you're going to be playing for us, buddy. It's restricted free agency. Let's just assume for this experiment, for this homework assignment, that he's not a part of this. Who would be your pick for most improved? Leave it in the comments. Moses Moody, scoring wise, I think at this point we kind of know who Moses is. Not a playmaker by any means. He can spot up and knock some down. And there were months last year, where he was shooting upwards of 40%. When he came out of Arkansas, he was considered one of the purest shooters in the draft. He can be a good shooter. High 30s when he doesn't have a torn UCL in his right thumb. But in terms of just his playmaking ability and the fact that I don't know if he scored more than like 25 points, more than, you can count it on one hand at this point in his career. And defensively, he's good, but I don't think most improved it would be Moody. So I'm gonna throw him out of the mix. I can't see it with Post either. I just don't know if he's strong enough and has enough of a post game to where he can do that unless he really improves defensively. We know he can knock down threes and he can spot up. Will Richard, I mean, I guess he doesn't count at this point because we've never seen him in a Warriors uniform to know what he improved from. And I don't think Buddy Hield either. Even though Buddy had his moments last year, the Buddy Hield experience has gone on for too long to think that all of a sudden the Buddy Hield experience is just going to end. If it did, and we just got October/November Buddy a season ago, preseason/first month of the season Buddy from a year ago, where he was like top 5 in MVP votes at that point, or MVP odds, I should say. If we got that the full season, yeah, he would absolutely be the most improved. But I just think he's like a roller coaster. He's like going to Six Flags and riding one of those things where you go all the way up to the top and you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? It just comes crashing down and then back up to the top. Although it's not one of those slow rising ones, because he gets hot quick and gets cold quick and turns it over quick. And there's not a lot of steady to his game. It's very erratic. And when it's fun, when it's on, it's fun. When it's off, it's get him off the floor, put in Hield, put in Pods, put in Spencer, put in Taron Armstrong this upcoming season, whoever, just get him out of there. And that's the way we all felt about Buddy a lot last season. But he's an important guy to have on your team, because when he heats up, he can absolutely change a game, and he can turn, a game 7 against a Houston team that had all the momentum into just a laugher from using Steph's gravity, getting open looks, and continuously knocking down open looks and hitting legit 7 threes in the first half, or maybe 6. Regardless, he was unstoppable in that game 7. So I think by process of elimination, I feel like it's got to be Pods, right? Averaged 11 a game last season, and a ton of room for growth there in terms of scoring. The last game of the year, he put up 28. Don't think he's going to average 28 by any means, but I think he's going to up his scoring averages. I think, in terms of his playmaking abilities, he's only going to get a little bit better. Defensively, he's going to get a little bit stronger. He's going to know where to be even more than a season ago, and he's got that natural ability to defend. I think it's between Pods and Moody, personally. That would be my best guess on who would be most improved this upcoming season. And maybe Santos is, a second round pick that just lights it up from like 40% from 3 to start the season. And he's looking that way for a minute. But I think it's between Moody and Pods as the two players that are most likely to bust out for the Warriors this year and be the most improved, the breakout player, whatever you want to call it. And I think those are and Kaminga too, if he's on the squad, I think that's your trio of young guys, your duo of young guys that are most important to this year's success. And I thought it was the same way a season ago when they were in the starting lineup together. What was it? 15-0, 13-0 at one point when it was those two, Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green as the 5 starters on the floor. I mean, they were unstoppable. Moody was playing great. Pods was playing his best basketball. Jimmy had just injected an energy. Steph was infusing all that energy. Draymond Green was playing awesome defense to where Reggie Miller coined him Defensive Player of the Year with like 7 games to go, and he ended up 3rd. So I think Pods and Moody really are X factors on this year's upcoming team, and that's kind of terrifying, frankly, with how awful they were in the playoffs, each collectively. Not good. At the same time, though, I wouldn't be stunned if one of them popped just a little to where they were consistently reliable in an aspect. Whether it's Moody's reliable all the time defensively and he knocks down his open threes, or whether it's Pods adds to his playmaking ability, hits it 41% from 3 and averages 15 points per game. Like I feel like one of those two guys has the ability to, I'd almost guarantee one of those two guys is really going to step up their game this upcoming season. The thing is, they need them both to step up their game if they're going to have any sort of shot of competing with this daunting Western Conference. And can they do that? I don't know. Now, to the front office, I would argue, and the issue is with their salaries, they're tough to trade anything worthwhile. Like even if you combine the two together, you're talking bringing in 16 million, something along those lines, player-wise. So you can't bring in your star even if you combine them together. Now, you could combine all 3 together. Kaminga's on the team and agrees to that deal, 22, and then you're talking bringing in someone that's 38 million, and then you truly have your 2-year last dance, or at that point, your year and playoff run, your 2 playoff runs to really last dance it up. If you didn't believe that those guys are ready to go now, because timeline wise, it's go time. It is go time for the Golden State Warriors. They got 2 seasons left with all these guys under contract, and it's lining up during a pretty tough time when the Western Conference feels like even teams like San Antonio should be on the rise. Even a squad like Portland may be a stretch, but Denver's going to be significantly better. The Clippers are extremely old, but I thought they were good last season, and they can hang the banner for being the team that almost beat the team that won the NBA championship. Being the team that almost beat the team that almost beat the team. I missed an almost beat the team. Transitive property there. But yeah. Western Conference is tough. And the fact that they've held on to Moody and Pajemski at this point, I would say it means they truly believe in these two. But I guess the counter argument, I just kind of laid it out there, is who are you going to return in a trade salary wise for those two, even if you included draft picks and everything with the money working out. So it's just best at this point. You keep them. You had a chance to cobble all three of those guys together for Lowry Markkinen, and you could have done that and probably traded for Jimmy Butler too, considering you still would have had one of those draft picks. And they asked for all your draft picks, did Danny Ainge. So maybe you couldn't have gotten that deal done, and maybe things would have changed significantly. Maybe it would have been Paul George or something along those lines had they really been after Lowry last summer. But Moody and Pods, the time's now. And if not this year, next year, because you got 2 seasons of lining these things up. Moody starts a 3-year deal, an extension that hits this year. He's making $13 million and was not playing like a $13 million player in the postseason. In fact, he wasn't playing for a majority of it. He was airballing 3-foot floaters. And then randomly they put him in. I think it was once in the Houston series and once in the Minnesota series where they just put him in and he went on like a 16-0 run by himself and led the Warriors back in. And it was like, where the hell has this been, Moses? And we know now that the UCL was pretty screwed up, had to get surgery. Pods also had to get surgery. So hopefully they're 100%. And I do think that one of those two will be the most improved. And I do think that they are the most important role players on the Golden State Warriors. And in fact, the word role has to be taken away from their name this upcoming season. They're the two most important players. They can't be role players no more. They got to be players in their own right. And the want from Warriors fans is that they had a bad playoffs. It was their first true. It was Pod's first true. Moody played in the Western Conference Finals in 2022. He got his sea legs under him a long time ago. But you hope they're ready to go, and they learn from that experience and the fact that they're now Moody's 23, Pods is 22. They start playing like seasoned vets to some degree. This is Locked On Warriors. When we return, we got 80 comments have fired up on the show. I'll be running through some of them, answering some questions, get the questions, and now a little town hall coming up on Locked On Warriors. All right, let's get to the chat. Let's start off with Portola 45. Portola 45. If they sign Melton and Curry, Pods is sitting next to Gee at the end of the bench. I truly don't understand the Pajemski hate. You can like Kaminga, you can like Moody, you can like the Golden State Warriors and still think that Pajemski helps your team win basketball games. I've never understood it. He was bad in the playoffs, don't get me wrong, but last game of the season, he scored 28. And what's the argument there? Minnesota called off the Dogs, whatever. I mean, he scored 28 points. You don't do that on an accident. You don't sit at the end of the bench next to Gee when you're putting up 28 as a, 22-year-old. And he had some months where I've given you the splits a million times on this show where he shot 47% from 3, 50% from the floor. I'm talking months doing this, averaging 15 and 6. I think he's only going to get better. And if they sign Melton, and the fact that you put, if they sign Melton and Curry, referring to Seth Curry's not better than Brandon Pajemski. Get out of here, Portola 45. Get the hell out of here and respect a player that's on the team. Come on now. Pods is on the Golden State Warriors. If you're a Dubs fan, I don't see why you wouldn't be rooting for him. And then we get this one. Kerr's stepchild Pods is guaranteed 30 minutes no matter what. I do think that the Pods stepchild thing is kind of funny, but his son Nick is actually on the coaching staff now. So you don't have to use the stepchild anymore. What do we got? That's a losing starting 5 in regards to what we had earlier. Will Richard will be in Santa Cruz. I debate that. I think Will Richard has shown the ability from watching him in Summer League to do some things that Kerr loves. And whether you like it or not, Kerr's going to play the players that do what he loves. And some of the things that we saw in the Summer League is he's always crashing the glass hard. He's always getting out in transition, leaking out in transition. He seems to be a willing passer and a smart passer, seems to take pretty good shots. Now, I don't expect him to be much more than a 36% career point shooter at the NBA level. If he is, that'd be unreal. I think he, 34, 35 is pretty expected of him. I don't think he's going to be some microwave scorer or anything, but I do think that he's just got a little tenacity to him. Seems like a nice blend of grit, a nice blend of smarts and IQ, and then just the nice blend that you add in there of, even though we haven't seen it yet, I think he's going to be able to play with Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and some of the players on this team to get him open looks and not do anything crazy, but come in his rookie season and put up like 6 and 3 or something like that in 12 minutes a game. I do think that he has the ability to do that. Maybe he starts the season in Santa Cruz, but as of right now, I mean, they're going to need him. They got 9 players on the roster as currently constructed. Gary Payton, last we heard, the reports were that the Warriors are not expected to retain GP2. I think, though, if he wants to be a Warrior, which is most likely, and no one's offering him more cash or he doesn't care about the cash, then I do think they'd bring him back. I think GP2 is extremely solid. Even if he's towards the end of your bench, you just need that option at this point. I mean, if you're talking GP2 and Seth Curry, to me, I personally would probably say GP2. I guess it depends how everything lines up, right? If you don't land a DeAnthony Melton and that doesn't come to fruition, then you're losing out on a potential shooter and you swap in JK, he's on the team or whatever, not a good 3-point shooter, then maybe it's Seth, whatever. Personnel matters in this regard. But I would say that GP2 provides some decent minutes. And if you're getting him on the minimum and you have a chance and he's kind of the piece that rounds out your roster, he knows the team, he's good in the locker room. I love GP2. I think he's cool as hell. From covering him, he was just he seemed like a chill dude. Vibes well. Good vibes. GP2. Where's GP2 going to be? Around the basket. Thank you, Fitz. Appreciate it. Thank you, Frank, for saying I believe in Will Richard. I do as well. Muhammad says, trust me, you all need JK, and I am a Knicks fan. Worst case scenario is that this goes so poorly that JK just doesn't want to play basketball for the Warriors and actually does pull a Jimmy Butler from last season. I don't think there's any chance that one, he takes the qualifying offer, and if he does, he truly says, I got enough tape to sit out this entire season and bet on myself to make this sort of money. I just don't think there is something about being professional when you're under contract and when you're a restricted free agent. You do somewhat have an obligation. Now, if it's gotten to the point of no return, then the Warriors do have to do something here soon. I mean, they hold all the chips in the fact that Kaminga can't play anyone else, can't play anywhere else if they don't want him to. But at the same time, if he doesn't want to play for your team, then, I mean, sure, Devin Carter's not going to help you this upcoming season. Neither is Saric. Neither is a future first-round pick. But it's something, and it's distraction gone. And sure, Nick Richards probably isn't going to help you much this upcoming season and would only make it more confusing for a player like Trace Jackson Davis, if you still believe in Trace. 4 second-rounders, whatever. And Royce O'Neal, do you even want to bring on that money? Like, that's something that we don't really talk about much. Do you want to take on Royce O'Neal's $10 million? Well, I don't know the contract situation of how many years they'd have the rights to him for, but like, do you even want to take on multiple years or just the money that Royce O'Neal brings? Does he fit what you want? Like, he can play basketball, sure, but is he what you're looking for? Because if he's not, and that's the offer that you've gotten, then it just doesn't make sense. At some point, you just keep playing hardball and you throw out your arm and try to arm wrestle Kaminga until eventually, my logic would be right now, hey, you just said you're betting on yourself. You're taking the qualifying offer. Then take it right now. Don't wait till October 1st. Sign it right now. We're not signing, trading. You sign it. $500,000 off this offer every single day you wait. And then it puts him in the predicament of if he waits a week, it's down to $16 million per season, and then he's got to sign the qualifying. I mean, just get it over with. If you're going to play on the qualifying offer, play on the qualifying offer. Just do it. Don't threaten. So, anyways, but in regards to this, trust me, you all need JK. The scoring would not hurt at certain points in the season. No doubt about that. And the trade, it's huge. I think there's a reason why they haven't given him up for pennies on the dollar yet. The hope is that they can somehow rectify this thing behind the scenes with just the logic of, JK, you want to be somewhere else? We will help you get to that place that you want to be. But we need to get your value a little bit up. And this notion that he just completely would not want to help the Warriors, you may be right, but it would help himself. Because thing is, and the deal that the Warriors threw in there, the no trade clause, the waiving that, like maybe they get that back on there. But the team option thing, it allows him to restructure his contract if he were to be traded during the regular season. So let's say he's traded to a team like, say the Wizards get in on the action deadline time and you get Corey Kispert from the Wizards in a trade or something along those lines. Then the Wizards can go in and they can extend them long-term, and he's not on that 2-year, $45 million deal. Instead, he's on a 4-year, $90 million deal. So, I mean, that's my logic in regards to it. But again, to answer Muhammad's question, you all need JK. We need JK to play ball at some point. And if he doesn't play ball, it doesn't help anyone. I promise you that. I promise you that. Anyways, this is Locked On Warriors. Marcus, pods, whatever. It's become a theme in the chat on the show. Have a good one, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the weekend. We got everyone's favorite, the Bay Area broker, the Bay Area's broker of truth, Michael Loganoff, on tomorrow's show. And some of you right now are saying, I'm logging off. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Michael and I in the chair tomorrow. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I promise you, Michael's going to be bringing the heat. See ya.